It's not very often that you have a fantasy fulfilled or that you get to fulfill someone else's fantasy. But not too long ago, Larry and I were given the chance to fulfill an Idaho family's fantasy. Watch as we help make their dreams come true. Larry and I made a very long trip in order to deliver this fantasy. We had been asked by the makers of the television show called Fantasy to get to the Dickerson family outside of Santa, Idaho, and bring them a long-time dream. But the problem was getting to them. They live in a log cabin, miles from the nearest town, without running water or electricity. And the only way to get there in the winter is on horseback or snowmobiles. Larry and I decided on snowmobiles. This is where Bill and Kathy Dickerson, along with their 2 girls, have decided to live. Bill cleared the land himself, and he and Kathy constructed the log cabin home. Kathy cooks on a wooden stove, and Bill chops the wood that heats the stove and their home.
In a way, this is a fantasy for me, and I think for Bill, to live like this, to not be dependent on power companies or water companies, to know that no matter what, we're going to have a warm house, and we can always have food, we can grow our own food, that our basic needs will always be provided.
The Dickersons enjoy living from the land because they don't have to depend on anyone else this way. But as Bill warns, it's not easy. You really have to reach down into yourself to see just how resourceful you are.
A lot of people come up. They'll spend 2 years and find out, hey, this is really hard. You know, this isn't as romantic as Little House on the Prairie or something like that. It's hard sometimes, but it's always very fulfilling to work directly for your needs rather than working for the money to buy your needs.
These are the 2 youngest members of the Dickerson clan, 10-year-old Jesse and 12-year-old Lorien. Every day and in all kinds of weather, they ride their horses to school. The family doesn't have enough money to buy them saddles, so the girls have learned to ride bareback.
One thing I really like about the girls is that they're learning they can do anything they really want to do. They can chop the wood, they haul the water, and I really like that because I grew up watching TV and playing in the neighborhood and going to school, and that's about it. You know, I never knew until I was 25 that I could go out and work on a car. As a woman, I could go out and work on a car, or I could go out and chop wood.
For Larry and I, just making it up to the Dickerson home was enough of a chore. Kathy knew about the fantasy show because she's able to listen to KHQ on the FM radio. She tunes in fantasy while she quilts, and one day decided to write to the makers of fantasy about her family's dream. But she had no idea it would ever be fulfilled. Is anybody home?
Hello, Kathy Dickerson. Bill, come on out. We're glad you're here. You folks live up here a long way from civilization as we know it. Bill, hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Just fine. Now, Kathy, it wasn't too long ago that you wrote to the folks at Fantasy, right?
Right.
You remember writing that letter?
Oh,
yeah. It's taken a few weeks for us to really make contact because you don't have a telephone and we haven't been able to write to you or get in touch with you. But finally we did, and Bill was able to call us and set this up. Well, you wrote to Fantasy and you said that one of the things you would like, since the 2 girls have to ride horses to get to school, you would like to be able to provide them with saddles for their horses. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
You remember that? Okay. Well, because of that, the folks at Fantasy have something for you.
Delving into my pocket here, we have for you so you can get some saddles. We have 100, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $1,000 for you.
So you see, fantasy does come true.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Now, what kind of saddles were you looking at, or what are you interested in?
I haven't even looked at any. What I want is something light for the kids, but it's just been beyond our means, so I haven't even looked at them. But now I can go look at them.
See, it kind of fools birds and things like that.
Thanks to Fantasy, the Dickersons can now buy those much-needed saddles for Jesse and Lorien. But that's just the beginning of their dreams. In 10 years, Kathy says their place will be overflowing with fruit trees. They'll have a huge garden and plenty of animals. But their biggest dream is that their simple and hard-working lifestyle will encourage others, if they want to get back to the basics.
My point of view is not so much the place itself, but just all the things that we've learned about ourselves and about how to live on this earth in a very fulfilling way. And that's what I'd like to share.
You know, people who have to depend on the government for subsistence, they can go out with a little bit of money and determination and build themselves a place where they won't ever have to be in need again. And like Bill said, I'd like to share that with other people, that yes, you can do it.
And now, with their fantasy fulfilled, Bill, Kathy, Jesse, and Lorien know that they can live this life and set an example for those that want to follow in their footsteps.
One thing you might find interesting about the Dickersons, Kathy grew up in Washington, D.C., and she'd never ridden a horse before she moved to her log cabin home. Now, the two girls who have grown up riding horses both say that their big dream is to move to the city when they get older. Stay with us. Larry, Dan, and I'll have more from the Dollar Horse Ranch when we return.